We're on our way to the
Sad day.
final wash of Dwight.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Or if you are new here, we are Nat and Ave. However, it is springtime in Texas, which means Natalie is an absolute allergic mess. So I will be in front of the camera mostly I think today, yeah?
Sure, yeah.
Okay. So it's an exciting time for us, as you saw in our last video, that we are purchasing a campground. Well, purchased a campground, and we are going to it here in a few weeks. But that sadly means that we need a truck. And why that's so sad is because in order to get a truck, we're going to have to sell our best friend, Dwight. Dwight is our adventure van that we lived in for nearly 2 years, traveled 65,000 miles all across the country, was the absolute GOAT, greatest of all time, took us everywhere, had everything we could possibly need. And I am just absolutely gutted that we have to sell it. But in order for doors to open, sometimes you have to close some. So that's what we're doing. And we're currently headed to the car wash to wash them up so we can post them for sale. And we never ever, through the whole process of building it or traveling, did a van tour. And I had a number of friends reach out to me like, oh, you should do a van tour. And we just never did for various reasons that we might go into a little bit later in this video. But we just never did it. So we figured that now, since we've all cleaned it all up and got all of our stuff out of it, it would be a perfect time to not only use this as a van tour and a story machine, as I'm sure multiple stories will pop up through this process, but also to be able to provide to prospective buyers as a, hey, check the van out. This is everything that's going on with it. So
continue
anyway,
on US 380 for 4 miles.
Google Maps tells us we got to continue on US 380 for 4 miles to get to the car wash. Well, that's what we're going to do. We'll be back.
You're doing great. Nice. Welcome to the van tour.
All right, not quite yet to the van tour, but welcome inside of Dwight. I wanted to start with the what and the why first, so you understood why we picked this van and why you might also like it if you're a prospective buyer. Again, this is not only serving as a remembrance for us, but also a sales tool as well. So at the time, there were 3 major brand types. That was the ProMaster, which is this one, which is the one we went with. There was the Mercedes Sprinter, and there was the Ford Transit. We wanted a diesel though, so the Transit was out, even though it was the tallest, and we're both very tall. I'm 6'4", Natalie's 6 foot, so it would have been nice to have the extra height. The ProMaster and the Sprinter were the only one that had a diesel, and we wanted a diesel for 2 reasons: payload capacity and pulling power, and also gas mileage. For as much as we were going to be driving this thing, we wanted to be able to have the best gas mileage possible, and the gas version of these generally get 15-16 miles a gallon, and the diesel, we've averaged about 22. Which, if we've done the math over the 65,000 miles that we've driven this, all over the country, it saved us about 1,300 gallons worth of fuel. At the time, it's very dusty and windy out here. Apologies. But anyway, at the time, gas prices were through the roof, so it made a huge difference. Having that 1,300 gallons less use of fuel saved us a bunch of money, allowed us to go further, farther, longer, essentially. So we wanted a diesel for that. We also had a ton of stuff. We sold a house. We had a whole house worth of stuff that we sold that we wanted to cram in here. So we needed an engine that was going to be able to pull it no problem, so a diesel. So it came down between the ProMaster and the Sprinter. Unfortunately, the Sprinter, although they're really nice and much easier to build, as we'll talk about here in a little bit, they are also expensive to maintain, $350. I don't know if this is still true or not, but Valvoline and local shops wouldn't touch them. Even to do the oil changes, and the dealership wanted like $350. So we were like, well, again, we're going to be driving this thing a ton. We don't want to get stuck somewhere and need an oil change and not be able to get it. We definitely don't want to pay $350 for an oil change. So we went with the ProMaster. The ProMaster is the widest as well. Notice our bed is sideways. Again, I'm 6'4", Natalie's 6 foot, and I can sleep sideways in here. It's edge to edge, but I could do it, which is super important to us because it saved us a lot of linear space this way. So that's the what and the why. We obviously went with the extended. This is the longer wheelbase of the ProMaster. It's the 159. It's also the extended version, so you get like an extra foot and a couple inches. It's the high roof, etc. Again, 6'4". I'm in some very tall shoes, I can almost stand up tall, but again,
Show off shoes.
I've got very, very thick shoes on right now. So without shoes, I can dang near stand up straight, but just tilted just a little bit. So absolutely okay. So anyway, now that you know why we went with this one and why you might like it as well, let's talk about what we did into this thing. So kind of starting from the outside, we started with the flooring. And the flooring, we did an acoustic layer that also insulated. And then on top of that, well, before that, we put in this tape stuff. It's like this rubber tape to make sure that the movement and the rattling, forget the name of it, but that was pretty much the thing to do. So that's what we did. We put the tape down, and then we put our acoustic line down. It's called Quicksilver or something from Home Depot, which acts as an insulation as well. And then we put our plywood down, and then we put our floor, and then we built everything else on top of it. So we've attempted to kind of seal everything up and make everything super nice and tidy. And then we put in this toilet, which was a very important thing for Natalie. This is a C-head composting toilet. It separates the liquids from the solids. We never really did the solids in here, but it is there for you if you need it. It's been completely clean, sanitized. It's basically brand spanking new. This is on a slider. The slider is rated for 500 pounds, and it's connected to the wall in various places. So no matter how big you are, I weigh 240 pounds, and I can sit on this thing and rock back and forth, and there's absolutely zero issue. Natalie is considerably lighter than I am, but she has no problem either. So.
I use it a lot.
yeah, this was definitely Natalie's toilet. Super comfy. It's right here, so in and out of the van. To empty it is really nice. Makes it super duper easy. It was either that or put it in the back, but as you'll see, there wasn't really any place to put it in the back, and we didn't want to put it in the middle because
Kind of awkward.
Yeah.
Plus, it's awesome because if Avery's driving, I would be able to just kind of scoot back and, take a little pee-pee, and we can continue on our journey.
Which happens often.
Yeah, it was
bladder syndrome. So
it was wonderful.
If we didn't have this, we would have never made it anywhere.
Yeah,
but anyway, so this is the toilet box, and as we'll get more into, all of these cabinets are custom cabinets made out of birch. This whole build is made out of birch, 1/2 inch and 3/4 inch. And a buddy, Zach Davis in St. Louis, an absolute badass monster. Thank you again, Zach. Did all of this for us. We'll talk about later, but the ProMaster internals are a little bit different. They're much harder to build, which means the cabinets much harder to build. And honestly, while we're on this point, when we were starting this whole journey, I was blown away by how little storage people had when they were living in these vans. And they didn't have nearly enough cabinets. So we went with cabinet crazy. But anyway, he built this box that the toilet stands in, so we could also attach our giant fridge onto here, which was the next thing that we added in. This is a 12-volt solar fridge. It is massive, and it is extremely efficient.
check out that freezer, though.
Yeah.
We love this thing.
Yeah, the compressor that's in here, again, is extremely efficient. So it hardly uses any power, which is freaking awesome. It's fantastic, especially when you're off grid. Like, we'd go off grid for,
Weeks.
2 weeks at a time, and we'd be able to stuff this thing full of food and have plenty of power. No problems at all with that. So absolutely love this fridge, and it's bolted onto this box and attached to the wall so it doesn't move. We had Velcro on here, and you'll see the remnants of that. We'd probably recommend most people do that, because if you are turning and hit a bump, the door will open and your
food will fly out,
Yeah,
like it did for us one time.
absolutely.
So we learned our lesson.
So as I'm sitting here, I'm sitting on our swivel seat, swivel seat
There we go.
that we've got in here. This just swivels around and it goes back forward. So then you could use this. This was important for Natalie because at the time she was working remote for a company, and we wanted to set her up a little desk so she could type away and have grand views. And we've got a plug, one of 4 outlets, 2 of 8 plugs in the van here, along with our dimmable lights. These are absolutely fantastic, which is super cool. And these are just on a easy to release latch. There we go. The driver's seat, since the fridge and toilet is here, we did not put on a swivel seat for obvious reasons. There's just no need to, but it is there. All right, moving on. We've got our sink here. Our sink is big. We had a small sink at first, and it was terrible.
We couldn't even wash like a normal frying pan.
Yeah, we couldn't wash dishes without water being an issue, splashing everywhere. So we went with this giant sink. I don't know if I could climb in there, but it's really, really big. And we went with this really nice faucet. So it's got running water, of course. The accumulator, which I'll show you here in a second, is in the Nook, but this has got the setting for the spray or the regular.
What's a Nook?
I'll show you the Nook in a second. Nook is a little storage seat area that we both have that we put it. So cold water only on here though. We didn't want to do propane. We didn't want to mess with any of that. And honestly, we never missed it. So that drains into our system down here. It's just a 7-gallon tank, easy remove. There's also a awesome water filter by Filtrete back there. So we filter the water not only coming into the tank with this, but to drink or cook or whatever, anything that comes out of here is also very filtered. So. And then moving on, we've got multiple drawers. Got a little bamboo silverware thing. This drawer has a bunch of extra parts in it right now, but you can obviously move these if you want. But we got a bunch of extra magnets. All these doors are on 40-pound magnets, so they don't open super easy, but that's a good thing when you're driving down the road and you don't want stuff flying all over. So
Yep, they're all super deep.
yeah,
Put
super
so
deep.
much in here.
We'll talk more about these cabinets here shortly, but we got extra magnets. We got extra parts for the diesel heater. We've got extra parts for the Max Air fans. We've got 2 Max Air fans, one in the front. These are the Deluxe 7000 model. To be a little Max Air fan salesman real quick, these will both act as an intake and an exhaust. They have multiple settings. And they are awesome fans. They are surprisingly powerful, easy to clean, really easy. There's not much going on with them, so if something goes wrong and it stops working, very easy to diagnose, super cheap to fix. Anyway, and then we've got a large third drawer down here, pretty standard. Again, all of these drawers are also on magnets, so they don't just open, you gotta kind of tug. Moving on to this one, we've just got more storage space. Nat's got some baskets in here, which is nice. But these are just your standard kind of kitchen style dealios. Got an extra 12-volt line down there. We never needed it for anything, but it is.
You didn't know that the fridge was gonna be 12 volt, or right?
No, we were gonna put an extra thing up here that we just like a phone charger that we just never put up here. It was the original plan.
That's right.
So just never did that because the plugs were good enough for us. So it's there. It's attached to the fuse box. So anyway, these are all butcher block that have been stained and sealed. This is the toaster oven that we used for many years. It's definitely not in the best shape, but works great. This, I don't know where we got this, but we tried to buy a magnetic knife holder for the RV, and this thing is so much stronger than all of the ones that we got for the RV. This is insane. There was a lot of comments when we were first building this about you don't want to hang knives on the wall because this, that, and the other, but knives stick onto that thing like crazy.
Yeah,
anyway,
we never had an incident. They were
they never moved, they never fell, nothing. And we hit, some big bumps at times. So
yeah.
Here is the second outlet, plugs 3 and 4 of 8, and that takes us to our Nooks. So these are what we called our Nooks. I'm going to come around here so you can get kind of a better view. But essentially, they're just a box that also serves as a seat, extra storage, whatever you want. A seat. These Natalie's mom made, and they're very, very comfortable. And then we've got Natalie's Nook, and this is where we've got the water into the sink over here. We've got this protected by plexiglass, so you can't get anything in there. And then we've got 10 gauge. We overdid all the electric by at least 1 gauge because that's how I do things. So this is a 10 gauge wire that goes up to the outlet up front and also connects to the third outlet we have, plugs number 5 and 6 there. And then here we also have
Dun-dun.
pull-out table, so you can have your nice meals. Again, I'm 6'4". We built this so I could fit in here, sitting down, and my head clears the cabinets. Yeah. People make fun of me these days because my posture is so good, but I've got some back issues, so my posture has to be phenomenal or it hurts. But anyway, this is just on a slider. Again, it's also on a magnet. so it doesn't just open at all. So this is, we plan to put a door on here. However, our dog Zoe loved going in and out from this space to the back. So we set her up a little bed back here, and it was her little cave. That's where she hung out. And anytime we were driving, she just went back there, made herself at home, and absolutely loved it. So we just left this open, but there is space on both sides to attach some hinges if you wanted to put a door in. That's why, again, we left extra magnets and stuff just in case anybody wanted to do any of that. And then this is the output from our diesel heater. The diesel heater absolutely cranks. Again, like the max airflow fans, it's a very simple thing, which is nice, which means there's only a handful of things that can go wrong, and it does. Not often, but it will go wrong, and luckily, again, it's only a handful of things that typically go wrong, and we have all of those things in here, and they're all very easy to replace. So gotta love that. It's also extremely efficient, even on low. Unless it was really, really cold, it was very toasty in here because we are fully insulated with Havelock wool. The whole van is completely insulated from top to bottom with the Havelock wool, and it works amazing. We experienced a handful of days that were in the teens when we were working at Rio Guadalupe outside of New Braunfels. And we had our diesel heater on low, and it was toasty as could be in here.
We had to turn on a fan.
Yeah, we had to turn on the fan a couple times because it was so warm.
Yeah.
Everyone was like, "Are you guys okay?" And we're like, "We're probably warmer than you guys are." Like, don't worry about us.
Yeah.
So anyway, all right. So that's kind of the middle down, and then we'll talk about all these freaking cabinets. Like, again, I'd mentioned when we were first looking into van life and doing months and months of research into living in a van, I was blown away on how little bit of storage space people actually had in their van. They'd have like a cabinet here and a tiny little cabinet there, and I was just like there's just no way. We've got too much stuff. We have a media company, we had cameras and lights, and just we have clothes, you know, like we're human beings that own things. So we were blown away that more people didn't have more storage. However, like I'd mentioned a little bit earlier, the ProMaster, unlike the Sprinter walls are very flat. From front to back, they're just straight and flat. They do arch a little bit at the top, but with the ProMaster, they stagger out. So at the 6 foot mark, you'll see here that it staggers. So what we did to save as much space and utilize as much space as possible is, instead of building it out like a lot of people do, they just build it all out to one essentially width, and then they just wall it straight. We kept as much space as possible. So it's only a couple inches, but that makes a big difference. So there's that, and then it comes up about an inch right here as well, and then it's straight to the front. But because of that, it made cabinet buying and all of that extremely difficult. So like I mentioned, a buddy named Zach Davis in St. Louis was an absolute beast. We actually did a full video on him constructing these cabinets. Made them from scratch, 1/2-inch birch, and they are completely custom to fit the angles and contours of our lovely Dwight's internals. They, again, like we mentioned earlier, are on 40-pound magnets, and they work amazing, and they're also on hydraulics, so they stay open by themselves. So we've got, you know, and they're not small. Like, they're pretty deep. They angle at the top, so, you know, you lose a little bit of headspace up here, but we hung our toothbrushes on these. This was our little, like, bathroom cabinet. This
shampoo and body wash.
Yeah, we kept some lenses in here. This was kind of like my man cave, but in a cabinet. So it was like I had my PlayStation in there and some video games and, you know, random stuff.
Headphones.
Yeah, headphones and all sorts of little stuff. And then we kept our clothes in these 3 cabinets, and then in our nooks. And then on this side, again, windows close the door. Again, custom cabinet work. We've got this guy, which is where we actually kept our cameras, so we could easily and quickly get the cameras out if we needed to use them. There was one time that we were driving and an eagle popped out literally right in front of us and had a fish in its hand, and we scared the shit out of it, excuse my language, and it dropped its fish, and we were able to quickly pull over, come back and grab a camera and be ready to take some pictures. Sadly, the eagle didn't come back to get his fish, but the idea was there. So we kept our cameras and lenses in here, and then this is where we kept our
Dishes.
our dishes. So deep enough for multiple plates and bowls and wine glasses and regular glasses and shot glasses and all of the things.
And then anything that we wanted to hang, like what kitchen wise, or like keys. We have a little hook for like our bike lock that I used to have on the back of the van, but we would hang like our spoons and other utensils, some pans actually as well. I believe.
Yeah, on these fat boys we hung pans up there. Even little like strainer things, all that good stuff. So, all right, moving back. This is a brand new queen bed. It's considered a short queen, which means it's slightly shorter than a standard queen, so it can fit in here, but it's built perfectly to be able to fit. And it is some sort of, I forget.
It's like 8 inches or 6 inches?
I think that's 6 or 8 inch. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Very, very comfortable. Brand new pillows though as well. And then we've got Natalie. Natalie slept on this side when, not on this particular bed, but in general slept on this side, and she had this little guy. So she held her phone and her Blistex or Carmex or whatever she put in here, which was pretty cool. So
super cool.
All right. So I think that's the majority of the inside. Yeah. I mean, of course, we've got, there's additional storage up here. And we've put these clips here you can hang something here if you want to.
Put a curtain there, like a privacy curtain.
Yeah, you can put a privacy curtain. We've got window blocks as well, so things to cover up the window. But when it's really, really cold, a lot of temperature change happens from this cab into this. So we put a curtain here, less for privacy, but more for air transfer and temperature transfer. So,
true.
That's all good. The interesting thing about this van is it is a automatic, but it's a weird automatic. So it's an automatic shifter. So the transmission is technically a manual transmission, but the shifting is done automatically through a hydraulic shifter. So you'll notice there's no park. Now we bought this van pretty much sight unseen. So when we showed up, we were like, what is this? And I come from a background of driving manual cars, so I was fine with it, but it definitely feels a little bit different. For most people, it's a little odd not to have a parking gear. So, all right, we've got also this window here. See our Lawrence window? It is awesome because you can open one side of it, and it opens this way, which means the rain does not go into the van.
Got a little screen right there.
Yeah,
lots more airflow. So if you turn on the fan, a max air fan, like sucking out, then and you have the window open, it makes the airflow really, really nice. So
yep. And then on the window, we've got one of those fancy multiple $100 covers we got for Christmas from Natalie's parents.
Yeah, it's magnetic.
And it's magnetic. Fits perfect. You can fold it up. It's cut in half, so you can just open just this side, which is awesome. When you read a lot of the reviews on this window, people complain about the mechanism breaking, but if you don't slam the door when the window's open, there's
no problem.
Fantastic. So again, sometimes we just got to be smarter than simple physics. So.
We have this solar light that we put up here. It's solar charged, and that's been nice when we're.
I don't know where the remote is.
Oh, well, it was nice.
Yeah, it's still not. We'll look for the little remote.
Okay.
What else here? Oh yeah, let's look at the tires real quick.
Okay.
These because of the weight of the van, these I think are like special ply tires, so they're super thick. There's tons of tread left on them. Very strong tires. I think it's like 10 or 12 ply. I forget exactly, but they're not your normal tires. They're also bigger than your stock tires on these. I've also got, since we're down here, we've also got sumo springs put into here, which helps your sway. I mean, it's a giant, box on wheels. So when you're driving it, sometimes, especially when you're turning, it feels like it's kind of swaying a little bit. And the sumo springs that we put in there help a ton. All right. Hold on. So on the rear of the van, we do have two things of note. We have a ladder, gets you up to the top. We also have an exterior outdoor toilet. If you're ever out in the woods and you want to dig a hole instead of going in there, that's what we did. and then pack your trash out, of course. But this sets up as a nice toilet, super comfortable, freaking awesome. So two things, and then here's our 30 amp plug. We've got two chargers in here, as we'll go over in a second, but this is the 30 amp plug that charge with. All right, and opening back. Still got this in here just because it's so windy. Didn't want the cover to blow away earlier when I was taking pictures. But this is the extra storage. We call it the garage, is the term that everyone calls it. So we've got our water tank. It's a 21-gallon water tank. We've got an intake here. You can either just throw a hose into, or if you're somewhere that doesn't have a hose, we use this. We just put it in there. It's just a water pump. So we used to keep 2 or 3 7-gallon tanks back here. We'd run into Walmart, we'd fill them up, we'd bring them back out here, we'd stick this end into the tank, we'd stick the other end into this tank, and we turn the motor on, and the little pump just pumped all the water in. So we were able to have a ton of water in this guy, and then multiple tanks here as well, so we could be extra prepared. It also has a this
Release.
this thing here that if you ever need to quickly get the water out, you just open this guy, open the cap, and it's strong enough, and it actually misses the pump. It's just cool.
But we've had no problems with that.
Yeah, we've never
Thanks.
needed it. I'm glad I put it in, you know, just because, again, like I mentioned, that's the kind of guy I am.
He's a prepared guy.
I like to overdo things, but yeah, so just a drain point if needed. This AC obviously is going to come with the van. It fits perfectly in between the 2 front seats. It's the only AC that has the amount of power that this one does. That's not going to keep you cold if it's 100 degrees outside or anything, but if you're ever needing just an extra chill off, this thing is awesome, and it fits perfectly in the seats, and our electric system can run it absolutely no problem. So a ton of space in here. We've got our diesel heater cover right there, so you can access the diesel heater without going outside, which if it's cold and you have an issue with the heater is nice. There's just 4 screws that removes the cover, and then you can access the diesel heater to be able to change if there's any parts. All right, so the next thing is our electric system. Electric system starts up at the top. We've got 700 watts of solar up there. Those 700 watts of solar come into our charge controller. Now, each one of the electrical components has a inbound fuse and also a master shutoff. Again, like I said, I overdo things, so everything is on at least 1 fuse and a shutoff. So electric comes on to a shutoff, into a fuse, into our charge controller, from our charge controller into our 560 amps worth of lithium ion batteries. These are rated for about 3,000 to 5,000 charges. I think they have a few hundred actual cycles. They're with an Overkill BMS is the company that has the BMS battery management system, and they come with an app, and I can pull all that information and diagnostics and all that good stuff on them. But they have a lot of life left. From the batteries, it goes into one of our 2 chargers, our second of 2 chargers, and an inverter. And again, those things are on a shutoff right there. But this charger is a regular charger. Plugs into regular plugs. We were in Alabama, and it was rainy for a really long time, and we ran out of power, and the only way that we could get charged was at a gas station. Oddly enough, we pulled into Shell, we saw a plug outside, and it's crazy how often we can find plugs, but there was a plug outside that we were able to plug right into and get charged up, and they were cool with it. So for the times that we are at a more serious place, we've got this is where that 30 amp connector came in from on the exterior of the van that we just showed you. But this is a Victron MultiPlus 3120. It's a 12 volt to 120 converter. So the power comes from the batteries into the inverter, or from the pedestal or whatever you're plugged into outside into the charger inverter. Then that goes into our breaker system, and then the breaker system goes out to our multiple plugs. There's the other plug there, and then we've got 3 plugs in the front. Those are all GC PI or whatever they're called. But anyway, everything is set up to be as redundantly safe as possible. 12 volt, we've got plenty of space to add 12 volt stuff there. Yep, and again, everything's on an on and off switch. That is our cell phone booster. These things are crazy expensive. They do work as long as there's signal. A little signal, it will definitely boost that little signal into more signal, but if there's absolutely no signal, it's not going to do anything for you. But it does boost what is there. So this also, everything here has Bluetooth, so you can get some apps and monitor your system. But very, very, in my opinion, I think I did an amazing job with
You really
electric. I studied it for months and months and months. I had all this stuff and even more stuff laid out on our living room floor to put it all into pieces and to line it all up. And I really tried to go all out with it. We had to have a media company, so it was very important. And Natalie worked remote, so it was very important for us to have power at all times. We also really, really like coffee, so we had to be able to boil water every morning. We also really love dinner, so we had to be able to cook dinner every night. So we wanted to be able to do that without having any issues. So with the 560 amp hours of lithium and the solar, we've had no issues. And then the couple times that, well, I take it back, we have had a couple of issues, but it was also before we had these, but we did have only half of the amount of batteries. That's when the Alabama story happened. But anyway, this thing has been absolutely amazing. The amount of times we've just been able to hop into this van and go somewhere and just have everything in here that we need to be covered has been just incredible. There's been times where we've been at an RV park and the water's gone out. We have water out here that's fresh and filtered. There's been times when it's been,
And showers.
Yeah, showers. There's been times where it's been 95 degrees outside and the electric goes out in a park or wherever we're at. We're able to come out to the van and have AC and stay nice and cool, which is just awesome. There's been times, same on that same accord, when there's no electricity, your fridge doesn't work. So we got a fridge out here, so we're able to put our perishables. And then Natalie just mentioned it. I totally forgot about this, but we do have this set up. That's actually pretty cool to be a shower. So we've got a lot of funny stories of Natalie showering in
National Park.
National Park parking lots, like even a Garden of the Gods, just hundreds of people around.
It's like, I'm gonna take a shower.
She's just in her bathing suit, just out there bathing. We've got this little
Shower stand.
bamboo shower stand, so you can not have your feet in the grossness. So that's how that's kind of set up. But yeah, anyway, this tank here is for the diesel heater. It's a 5-gallon diesel heater tank. We put it in the back here so we don't have to take it in and out to fill it up. We can just fill it up right there, no problem. That line goes under the van to the diesel heater. And of course, the van has a bunch of little knickknacks that we've accumulated over the years, such as these tire stops if you need them, a nice 30 amp plug, and a very nice 12 or 10 gauge regular extension cord. And we've got various accessories up there, various adapters and connectors. So and also, just as a thing, we do have decorations here that kind of cover up. There's not a decent way to save space and also have that, and so we didn't want it to seem like we're just trying to hide this. That is there up there too.
But luckily, since the insulation is Havelock wool, it's straight just sheep wool, so it's not bad for you at all.
It's really, really good. It's healthy. It's not chemicals or anything like that. So, yeah. Anyway, I can't think of.
Last thing that's just a fun little touch is that we used to have like a shoe organizer hanging here on this, just to organize your shoes if you had any extra ones, or you can just put different supplies in the pockets of the shoe holders. That was a really nice addition.
I will say that this board is the only thing that's not 1/2 inch or 3/4 inch birch. And when it's super windy and you have a bunch of shoes, these little screw-in things definitely do some damage. So these, like this one specifically, this one's a little bit better, but yeah, that's probably my only real complaint about this whole van, which is crazy.
Pretty impressive.
Yeah.
You did an amazing job. It was mostly Avery's work because it's like he said, I was working remote, so this is mostly him. So good job.
All right, guys. That's Dwight. That's been a large part of our life and something that really kind of set the tone for where we are today, and kind of guided us into a really, really cool path and guided us into falling in love with RV parks and campgrounds, which is really what this channel is all about. Follow along. Later.